All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 388. This is the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And man, today is an exciting time. I know I told you guys the last episode that Coach Clay Helton and Arthur Smith is on a mission. And today it's going to be all about Georgia Southern football because Coach Clay Helton is really on a mission. Every time I turn around and I look at what's going on with Georgia Southern football, Coach Clay Helton is making changes and making things happen. And I want to talk about these two guys that are transferring to Georgia Southern as of today, as far as it's been confirmed. And I want to give my thoughts and opinions on these two guys and what does this continuously mean? What does it mean over and over again? I say this over and over. What does continuously mean? I think that makes sense. Over and over again about Georgia Southern football. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here we talk about Georgia Southern Atlanta Falcons football. I am on YouTube and Rumble. I am on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. I'm going to check the Rumble link because I think I got an issue with Rumble. So if you guys haven't been getting the episodes on Rumble, don't fret. I'm going to check on that because there's a few episodes behind. But that's the technical stuff that you don't want to hear about right now. What you do want to hear about is these two guys here coming from Power 5 schools to come to Georgia Southern. And I think this is very, very exciting. Coach Clay Helton, I don't know what he's doing or what he's saying or whatever the case may be, but it's working. It's working. It's just every time, like I said, you turn around, it's just exciting to see what's going on here. I want to start off with the kicker that we have here. The kicker name is Micheal Lantz, coming all the way from Minnesota. Now, if you're looking at the picture, I want to say that's our team in the background that he's kicking against. I really don't like to talk about that particular game that we played Minnesota in Minnesota. If all this is purposes, we should have won that game. I don't care what anybody say. We should have won that game. Nevertheless, he's coming back from Fayetteville, Georgia. He went to Minnesota and actually, committed. He played a couple of years there. And for his junior season, he's transferring and coming down to play for the Eagles. Now, one thing I like about this, and there's a couple things, it's one thing I don't like about it, but there's one thing I like about this. We're adding more special teams players to the roster. And in the way that he's been playing throughout his college career, I cannot be more excited about this. For all this is the purpose, in the sophomore season, he played in 3 games. He played pretty good on that, but his freshman season was the season that he really shined. He played in 11 games, finished second on the team in scoring, connected 8 of 11 field goals, and ended the year with 4 straight makes. Also, he played, pretty much, that's pretty much it, because everything else that I'm looking at is game-by-game basis. I don't want to really go down that whole rundown, but for him playing his freshman season and did as well as he did, scoring 71 points, 8 field goals and 47 points after touchdowns, he did pretty good for himself. He didn't play much in 2020. I don't know the whole things behind that, but nevertheless, he is a Georgia Southern Eagle now. I can't wait to see how that goes. Now, what I don't like about it is my man Britton Williams. I love Britton Williams as a kicker. That's my guy. And I don't know what the level of competition is going to be like, but I'm pretty sure it's good because as far as I'm concerned, I still feel that Britton Williams is the better kicker. And I don't want to get into between these two because they're both Eagles. It doesn't matter as long as, these guys go out there and compete at the highest level. I like both. I like the addition to Micheal Lantz. I like his game from what I see in the numbers, but Britton Williams is my guy personally. So that's pretty cool to see that we're getting a guy from, the Power 5 guy who's played in, pretty good, high-level competition and was able to kick and be successful as a kicker in that high level of competition in the Big Ten. You got to also think about it. Minnesota was actually a pretty good team in the Big Ten. I mean, they shocked a few people and, they kind of sputtered at the end, but the last few years, they've been all right. Now, before, I want to get into the other guy, TJ Lewis. I'm about to say Smith. TJ Lewis. Coach Clay Helton, the thing that he's doing as far as bringing receivers to Georgia Southern is nothing short of phenomenal. I mean, you look at all the guys that either you know, actually committed as wide receiver, or you had guys who have been, converted to wide receiver. And even when we looked at the spring game, we saw how successful, you just saw how successful that the passing game was. And I'm sitting there just sitting back and thinking, I'm like, wow, this is something amazing. What Georgia Southern is known for, the triple option, running the ball, blue collar, smash mouth, punch you in the mouth football. It's not necessarily going to be a finesse team, as far as I know we may be, because it looks like we're going to still be aggressive. But for us, having a quarterback to throw the ball down the field is just something that I thought I'd never see, to be honest. And I've been a Georgia Southern fan since the 80s, the early 90s. So this is something I'm actually really, intrigued by. Well, it doesn't make anything, more intriguing when you get a guy like TJ Lewis, committed to Louisville as a quarterback. Thought that he was going to be playing quarterback at the University of Louisville after being offered by the Cavaliers of Virginia and Boston College. He ended up committing to Louisville. He signed with Louisville in 2020, and he enrolled in early 2021. Well, mid-2021, June 1st to be exact. So around about a year later, it was a report, and I don't know how I missed this. How did I miss this? Back in May, he transferred to Georgia Southern based on the Brunswick News. I didn't even know that this was the case. This is something I usually be on top of. But ever since back in May, he has been, he transferred and committed to Georgia Southern. 6'3", 190+ pound receiver. Played quarterback, but he's transferring to wide receiver. So when I tell you about these guys that Coach Clay Helton is bringing in, now you have another big receiver that's coming in, not only on top of the other guys that I talked about at a 6'5" that's coming in next year, where they're going to be playing either tight end or wide receiver. But when you see a guy like this come in, who's, I don't know what he's done at Louisville, because I haven't found any stats, whatever the case may be. Let me see if they have any. I'm looking on the Louisville website. It's not pulling up my internet. I guess it's acting up or whatever the case may be. Another story for another day. But for him to have a taste of Power 5 football in the ACC, watching high talent, going up, playing with other, playing with Power 5 coaches, even though, Coach Satterfield, to us, is still he's a, group of 5 coach, with him being at Appalachian State. But for him to be in that whole era of being in a big college like that and learning from so many people, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was there with Shai Wertz and Kendrick Duncan. Shout out to those guys. Great Georgia Southern Eagles that was there as well. But nevertheless, you have a guy that's here that is willing to come back home, because he's from Brunswick, to actually get a shot at playing receiver. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think he's going to be okay. I looked at some of his high school highlights. That dude is fast. And being at that size, at 6'3", almost 190, and have that speed, and you got a guy like Kyle Van Treese or any of the quarterbacks that we have throwing the ball to him, and you got these other guys like, Kennerson and Jones, and, Burgess. I want to know, do you guys understand why I say this team could win 8 games now? You know what I'm saying? Because we got talent across the board, and this is something that I'm just ecstatic about. Because now we're looking at a situation where we're pulling more guys from Power 5 schools. I already talked about the guy from Fresno State. Lo and behold, Terrence Gibbs, he was a guy that was actually committed to Florida at one point, ended up having an injury, but we ended up picking him up as well. And we got other guys that are coming around. Jeremy Singleton, I think he was a group of 5 at Houston, but he played at a high level. Houston didn't play a bunch of pushovers. They played some guys that was actually, prominent. So when you look at all this is going on, and you see that everything that is happening at Georgia Southern, I felt as soon as Coach Clay Helton touched down, I knew something special was going to happen. I mean, I don't know what happened at USC. I don't know what happened with that whole situation, but I do know one thing. The man, he did an okay job for USC. Cause let's not kid ourselves. USC, as much as they like to talk and stuff, and I don't have anything against their program, but as much as they like the talk and stuff, these guys really haven't been prominent since the Pete Carroll days. Ever since Pete Carroll left because of, he probably saw scandal coming up. Ever since then, they've been up and down. And just like with Coach Clay Helton, he's been up and down with USC. But for the most part, he's been successful. He won his Pac-12 title. Yeah, I think he had a Pac-12 title. And he won a Rose Bowl. I mean, what more could you ask for than that? And he almost won it again, but they lost to Oregon when they had pretty much almost had an undefeated season in the COVID season. So when you look at him bringing that philosophy, bringing his staff over, and he's bringing those guys in, and they're here to actually uplift and build the kids that decided to stay, came through and decided to bring guys in as transfers, recruit freshmen in here that's going to be ready to play when their name is called upon. When you continuously in May, June, and even in July bring in talent that could be ready to play right away. And this is not just regular old run-of-the-mill talent. I think these guys could ball. Lantz have proven himself already. He can play. TJ Lewis, I looked at his highlight reel in high school, and he got a call at Louisville for a reason. Satterfield saw something. And as much as we don't like Appalachian State, we got to respect the pedigree of that program and the coaches there. From him to going from Appalachian State to Louisville, and when he went to Louisville, what did he do? He knew the talent down here at Georgia Southern. That's why he went to pick up Kendrick Duncan. That's why he went to pick up Shy Words. Because they know the level. They know the level of respect of the players that we have, and vice versa. Even though I don't want them to beat us, I want to beat them every time, but there's a level of respect there. And speaking of level of respect, Michael Lantz, when he came back, when he transferred and he wanted to come back to Georgia, it was only two teams that he wanted to go to. Well, I'll say two teams that offered. It was us, the Eagles, and the Georgia State Panthers. I think he made a good decision at the end of the day. Man, I'm just excited. I'm really excited, and I'm really loving what I see here at the end of the day. These guys, the coaching staff at Georgia Southern, shout out to them. Much kudos, because they're bringing in guys that are ready to ball, guys who want to play, guys who fit the scheme, and guys who want to take it to the next level. I have nothing else to say on that, because I think I said all I had, and I'm just too hyped about this. I really am. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I am on YouTube and Rumble. I'm on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts if you want to check out the podcast avenue. Like I said, I had an issue with Rumble. I'm going to have to check that out and make sure everything is okay over there, because the uploads haven't been uploading. This is one of the reasons why I say subscribe to more than one avenue just in case. Because sometimes this stuff happens. What may not work on Rumble may not work on Stitcher. What's on Stitcher, you may not find it on Stitcher, or may not upload on Stitcher, so you have to go to Apple or Anchor. So that happens. So I can't thank you guys enough for the support. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. I really, really thank you guys. The Georgia Southern fans who tend to listen to the podcast side more, and the Falcons fans tend to listen to the YouTube and Rumble side more. That's pretty interesting. But nevertheless, you guys are listening, and that's all that matters. I really appreciate it. I'm going to get up out of here. I will see you guys on Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And, it's really exciting to see, these type of players come through and actually be a part of Eagle Nation. It's really cool. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy. Y'all be blessed. Peace.